Hey guys, so with the Legends Fest 2025 Part 1 banners now being live, featuring the Synchro Gauge Super Gogeta and the LF Super Janemba characters, let's talk about how good I think these banners are and whether or not I think you should be summoning for these characters. So as always, let's take a look at what the banner lineups look like, and we'll talk about how good or how bad they are. We'll start with the Gogeta banner. This is probably the banner that most people are considering summoning on because Gogeta is a very popular character and he's going to be much more attractive to most players as opposed to Janemba. So Gogeta himself, or Goku and Vegeta themselves, look very good. Again, at this point, I've only done the initial showcases for both characters, so I definitely still want to get a bit more experience with using them before I definitively am able to judge how good they are. However, I have pretty positive impressions from both characters, so I don't think this is like a transforming Vegito Blue, Yellow Rose situation. I don't think this is a UI Goku, Evolution Blue Vegeta situation where one of the characters is just overwhelmingly better than the other one. I've seen people say they think Gogeta's better than Janemba. In fact, that's, I think, what the predominant theory is right now, and what I've seen most people talking about so far. But I actually do really like Janemba. I think there's no way we end up in a spot where Janemba ends up being kind of just like in this really, really bad situation, because he has very good teams, he has good bench options, he's got a good kit, he's doing a lot for the teams that he's on, and I like the character. I think he's good. I do think Janemba is very good. So it's not going to be one of the situations where it's like, oh my god, I cannot believe I summoned for Janemba and he ended up not being too good. I think he's good. So we'll start with Gogeta's banner. Gogeta himself, very, very good. Again, only used him once, so I don't know where I would exactly rank him so far, but he is a very good character. Gotenks is a character that is on both banners. For whatever reason, they decided to only drop 1% sparking with these banners. I assume that it has to do with the development time devoted to the supporter characters. For whatever reason, they just, I guess, overrode their need to make a second 1% sparking. But Gotenks, I am not super high on, to be honest. I think he's fine. I don't think he's like a bad character, but he's not really a character that I think is going to push the teams that he's on to the next level, right? You can throw him on hybrids, you can throw him on Fusion Warriors, you can throw him on movies, and he'll just be okay. He'll be an okay addition to those teams, but again, he's not going to be like, oh, the final piece to the puzzle that really elevates the team to being like really, really good. He's not that good. Okay, he's fine. You're not like, worse off for summoning and pulling Gotenks. He's just a fine character. I'm not really going to talk too much about supporters. Supporters are kind of just a character that you can get from summoning. It's kind of a byproduct of summoning as opposed to something that you actually try and aim to get. Transforming Vegito Blue, he's, I would say, a niche character at this point. He's fine. Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks kind of in a similar position, niche character, he's fine. The 6th anniversary Synchro Gauge units are not too good. I think it's realistic that we could potentially see a unique equipment for the Gogeta, the fusing Gogeta Blue character. But as of right now, we don't know that's coming, and it's just they're not very good. That's the bottom line. Another character we could potentially see some kind of buff for is Pikkon, either in the form of a Zenkai Awakening or a unique equipment, but as of me recording this, we don't have any information on that yet, so Pikkon, unfortunately, is not good, so yeah, I can't really say that this is like a good addition to the banner. Dragon Fist Goku is pretty good in just the fact that he's a very powerful, one of the most, if not the single best bench unit in the game for fusing Super Gogeta. So you're not going to be using Dragon Fist on the battlefield in actual combat, but he's a really good bench character for fusing Super Gogeta. And then the same thing goes for Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. I would definitely say I think Dragon Fist is a better bench, but Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta does also Zenkai buff him, and he's a solid bench for them as well. You're not really going to use Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta either in the actual fight. This guy is like a really bad inclusion on here. He's not good. He doesn't Zenkai buff anybody. This is kind of like, if you pull this guy, I'm sorry. This is not a good addition to the banner. Piccolo and Goku from the Garlic Jr. movie are not very good. Green Videl, not very good. Yellow failed Fusion Gotenks, not very good. Purple Vegito Blue is actually fine. I think he's a decent 1% sparking Zenkai. He just got a Zenkai a few weeks ago. I think he's decent. I think he's actually a decent unit. Green Kefla, no, just bench only. Who doesn't even Zenkai buff Super Gogeta. This guy does Zenkai buff the new Super Gogeta, so he could be an okay bench. This Gotenks overall is just a good bench character in general. And then we have this guy who's like an okay bench, and that's it. Those are all the characters with boosted rates on this banner. So overall, I am looking at this banner, and I will just tell you guys, this is not a very valuable banner in terms of the lineup here. You don't really have a bunch of other characters that I think can really contribute to helping your teams in PvP in this game, right? It really is just Super Gogeta, who are kind of just like a one-off character on this banner. Like, you pull them, you're good. But if you don't pull them, you're not really pulling anything else that will really help you too much besides maybe the Gotenks. So again, he's not exceptional, but he's not bad either. This kind of reminds me, actually, of this green Vegito Blue banner last year. This guy dropped, and he was like the only good unit on his own banner. Kind of similar, actually, to this, but yeah, not overall a very good banner here for fusing Super Gogeta, unfortunately. Now, for the Janemba banner. Again, I've kind of talked about already how I feel about Janemba. I think he's a good character. The thing with Janemba, though, as opposed to Super Gogeta, is Janemba is a character that I think is going to take a bit of practice to get used to. He has a lot of conditions that you need to fulfill in order to get him into a position where he's really going to be dominant. I don't think that's really a bad thing. If you're looking for a character that's going to be more of like, I don't really want to think about what I'm doing. I just want a character that's going to enter the battlefield and just like basically just autopilot, then Gogeta is certainly the character that fulfills that description a bit better than Janemba does. But when you actually think about everything that Janemba is bringing to the table, I really do like Janemba. I think he's a very good character. So Janemba is definitely a W if you pull him. Talked about Gotenks already. King Yama, I mean, again, not going to go into excruciating detail about King Yama versus Baba, but I will just tell you King Yama almost certainly is a much better supporter than Baba is. And then we have some interesting side LFs on here. We have Purple Metal Cooler, who unfortunately was not good up until today, where he got buffed. But even after his buff, again, I have not used him yet post-buff. We can take a look here and show you guys what changed. So he used to have, I think it was 125% damage guard, and it was 280% damage with his starter ability. Now he's up to 300% damage and 180% damage guard. And remember, he does get more damage guard every time he revives, up to twice. I don't think that's enough to really save this character, so I am not going to all of a sudden start calling Metal. Again, I don't really want to say anything definitive until I've tested him and used him, which I haven't done yet. But again, I'm not going to call Metal Cooler like absolutely like horror. Like if you pull Metal Cooler, you might as well just like assume you pulled nothing. Like he's not that bad. But again, he's not really a character that is all of a sudden going to like really propel your teams to the next level. So that's how I feel about Metal Cooler. Kefla is an interesting character. I think Kefla is still very good. Her problem is she's always been in a very weird spot with her teams not being very good. And then on top of that, her being green, and then we have Ultra Fusion Zamasu now. And it's never really been a good situation, really, for Kefla. But I think Kefla is actually a pretty good character. So you pull Kefla here, you want to use her maybe, run like a double green Fusion Warrior team with Super Gogeta or something like that. Could be interesting. But it's really hard to find like a very good spot for Kefla to just shine very brightly right now. So although I do think Metal Cooler and Kefla are, it's good that they're on these banners, because this is actually the first time both of them have returned. I don't really know how much value you're going to get out of both of them, but it's definitely these characters being on this banner definitely increase the overall value of the banner itself. Tree of Might Goku, you can maybe make him look decent, but he's a very, very niche pick at this point. Red Broly needs something. I could definitely see Red Broly potentially also getting a unique equip or something this celebration, because he fits the theme of movies for part 1, and he's a Z character as well. And he's always kind of been like this character that I felt like if he just got a bit of extra push, I mean, at this point, he needs quite a bit, but if he just got a little bit of help, this guy could really impact the game a lot. So Red Broly, definitely not what I would consider to be a good character right now, but if he gets something, could be interesting. Orange Piccolo is also in line for a Zenkai, potentially dropped at the same time as the Gammas, who was our next character, who actually are the second best character on this banner, I would say pretty easily. They're definitely better than Metal Cooler. I mean, again, haven't used them post buff, but I'm assuming they're better. And then Kefla, I think they are better than Kefla. Kefla, I think in a vacuum is close to as good as the Gammas, but the Gammas just have a much better setup for them right now, next to 13 on movies or androids. So the Gammas are actually really good here. Full Power Frieza actually isn't bad. I think he's a decent unit. He got his unique equip, his second unique equip when Ultra Full Power Frieza dropped, and he's actually decent. He has permanent endurance nullification, he's got decent bulk, he's got disrupt, he's got Dragon Ball destruction, he's got vanish restoration with his main ability. He's a solid character, does decent blast damage, so actually not a bad character to just throw on this banner. He's got a really good Zenkai ability as well, yellow powerful opponent, so he's actually, he potentially could Zenkai buff Janemba. Then we have the yellow Gogeta Blue, who got his Zenkai Awakening in January, the beginning of the year. Felt like he was actually a really good Zenkai Awakening, and I feel like he could do okay still, but obviously at this point he's essentially relegated to being bench, and he's a very good bench character because he buffs yellow movies with the Zenkai ability, and he buffs double offenses. So he's really, really strong as a bench character. Again, another really good character to Zenkai buff Janemba as well. King Cold, I feel like he's actually decent. You don't really see him too often because I don't think people really summon for him. He came out next to Metal Cooler on Metal Cooler's banner. He is definitely like super mega fragile, but I actually don't think Metal Cooler is in like the worst position ever. And I think when he dropped, people might have underrated him a little bit. Hercule and Boo are not really usable. Garlic Jr. is not really usable. Evil Boo is not really usable. Green Broly is not really usable. This yellow Broly is a really, really, really like top of the line bench for any yellow powerful opponent character, which includes Janemba. So this guy's actually a really good bench for Janemba as well. This guy's not a very good bench at all. This guy's not really a good bench. I mean, he buffs one offensive. He buffs, I think it's just strike attack with the Z ability. So unfortunately not a very good bench. And that's pretty much it. So looking at the quality of both banners in terms of the featured characters, Janemba's banner very easily clears Gogeta's banner by a lot. So if you're looking at just the lineups of characters and you're trying to decide based off of that which banner is better, Janemba's banner is clearly, it's like not even close. It's way, way better. And there's an obvious reason why they did this, because they know everybody's going to flock to the Gogeta banner, so they got to do something to make the Janemba banner more enticing, and the way that they did that was by making the lineup much, much better over here. So you are overall going to have way more value summoning on the Janemba banner, but obviously I know that most people are going to be interested in summoning for Gogeta because it's Gogeta with a synchro gauge. So I can't really tell you guys not to summon for Gogeta, but if I'm comparing these two banners, I gotta say summon for Janemba if you're gonna summon for one of them. Now, the only thing I'll mention here before we end, because I don't want this video to drag on for too long, is if you notice, these banners are both up until January 14th. That is a very, very long time. Now, typically what happens with monthly LF banners is they'll have a period where they're active, and then once that active period goes away, the banner will still be up, but the banner format will change to where the banner ends up losing the double Z power, ends up losing the double sparking rates, and the summon coins are no longer available. However, that doesn't apply to these Legends Fest banners. So technically what you could do, and if you want my honest opinion, if you're a free-to-play player or a light spending player on what you should do, you should wait for part 2 banners to drop. And if you really want to maximize the value of your CC, you should wait until the part 3 banner or banners, most likely banner in this case, drops for the Ultra character at the end of the year. And then once you have the full picture of how Legends Fest plays out, you have all the characters out, you understand who's good, who isn't good, the ins and outs of each character. Maybe for whatever reason, the Ultra in part 3 is like some insane purple character that makes it very difficult to run Super Gogeta. So in that instance, if you're tempted to summon for Super Gogeta, but you were smart and waited to see what the other characters would be before you summoned, you would say, oh, okay, well, maybe I'm not as interested in summoning for Gogeta now. Or what if you decide to wait and all of a sudden Red Broly gets like a really broken unique equip, right? And all of a sudden the value of this Janemba banner just goes way up, and Broly is like this insane unit. It could happen. It could happen. So there's a lot of additional information you could gain by waiting and seeing how the rest of Legends Fest plays out before you decide to summon. And the only reason I say that is because these banners are up for a month and a half, over a month and a half, a very, very long time until January 14th. So that is the objective best way of approaching this situation. Wait and see what part 2 looks like. Wait and see what part 3 looks like. And then you can dive in and strike where you think the most value would be had. And obviously a lot of it's going to be account dependent as well. What does your account look like? What characters would benefit your account the most? So hard for me to really make that judgment based on just a general statement, because everyone's account is different. Everybody's character box is different. Everybody has different preferences for teams and stuff like that. But if we are directly comparing both banners, and it's between summoning on the Super Gogeta banner right now and between summoning on the Super Janemba banner right now, gotta give the significant advantage to the Janemba banner for sure. But I think waiting is ultimately the best situation, the best strategy for this these part 1 banners. So if you guys already have decided to summon, let me know which banner you decided to go in on. I'm assuming that most people summon for Gogeta because he's a Synchro Gauge Gogeta. But yeah, let me know what your thought process is about how you approach summoning. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next one.